Good morning, everybody. This is Deanna with Food Bank Beautiful, and it is September the 3rd. Where I live today in Washington, it is gray. It's been raining for days. My garden desperately needs the sun, but we're just going to carry on. So I wanted to do the Every Bit Counts challenge in August, but I just had a bout of being sicker than a dog for a number of weeks. And I don't know if I can say the name, but you can think of it as this. All right. None of us got tested, but we were all sick. My husband, Addie, and myself were very sick. Grandma was mildly sick, and the reason why I think it's this is that I lost all of my taste buds and have still not regained them. So it is a little bit of a treat. Now, I have decided that the Every Bit Counts challenge is really an ideal, a goal, something to be fun, and if I couldn't do it in August, why can't I do it in September? Now, I'm pretty sure that I can, so I am. Now, some of the projects, I will only show you finished product only because I'm just, I'm recovering, people, and it's been a slow uphill climb. So let's talk about the first thing that I'm going to do for the preservation project. This is my garden bucket that I picked out this morning, and in the bottom is a bunch of kale. And I have been picking kale all for days. And in there is basil, cucumbers, tomatoes, and I think there's a jalapeno pepper. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to process my greens. Now, I started that yesterday with a dehydrator pretty full of dried kale. And that was all out of my garden. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put that kale into my fabulous blender, and we're going to grind it into a green powder, which I will use in everything. Soup, stew, smoothies, whatever I want. Meatballs. It's fabulous stuff. So let's get that in there. It's all nice and dry. You can hear how dry it is. And we're going to give that a whirl. And then I'm going to add it to my green powder that's up in the cupboard up there. So hang on, here we go. I had two little scapies. Nobody gets out for free, baby. All right, let's finish it up. Okay, that is project number one. Let me go get my jar. Okay, I did not realize that my jar of kale is full, so that's exciting. So I also found some kale in my cupboard that I haven't crushed yet. So let's add that to this. We'll give it another whirl, and then we'll put it in a dry, clean jar, and we will have that. Okay. Woo. Woo. Things are just burning in the house. Not burning. Making a mess, I guess. Let me go find my siphon thing. Funnel thing. Okay, I don't know where my red funnel is or my other big white funnel, so I will use this. Let's see how that goes, shall we? Come down here. Oh, I think it'll be fine. Okay, and just like that, we have another half jar of green powder, which I put in everything. So this is project number 1. Now, I did go out to my garden today and I harvested, like I said, cucumbers, a couple cherry tomatoes, some kale, some basil. So what I want to do now is I want to dehydrate my second batch of kale. That's still going to count as this project. Project number 1, dehydrating kale. Now, the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dehydrate my basil, and that's going to count as separate because it is a separate thing that I am doing. Now, if 3 weeks down the line and I'm on day 22 and I have a ton of kale and I harvest that and preserve it, I'm going to count that too. So we'll just see how we do, okay? So let me get my trays, my kale and my basil washed and in my trays, and then I will show you that, and then we'll continue on. Now, I'm also going to show you some bread that I made a few days ago. Nearly wiped me out just to be in the kitchen long enough to make 4 loaves of zucchini pineapple bread. But all of that zucchini was out of my garden. The eggs were from my chickens. I think the pineapple was a food bank item. And I think everything else, like the flour and the brown sugar and all of that stuff, the vegetable oil, all of that was mine. Now, I will show you the bread, and we're going to count that as project number 2. And I will write down the recipe for you. This is a family recipe, which I am not known for sharing my family recipes, but you guys are fabulous, and I'm going to share it with you. That is going to be project number 2. Now, today I might can some navy beans. Hold on one second. Okay, I had to dig through the garbage for you guys, so I hope you're happy. Today I wanted to make white bean and kale soup with possibly some chicken sausage in it. But when I opened my first can of navy beans, this is what the lid looked like. And all I do is can my beans in salt and water. So whatever that is, I felt that this can was unsafe to eat. This was canned in January of 2024. So I pulled out the second bottle. Now I didn't dig out all 3 lids, but it also looked like this. And so did my last bottle canned on the same date, 1/24 of navy beans. So I disposed of those. They're not even going to go to the chickens. They're going to go straight. I put them in a plastic baggie and they'll go right into my garbage. Have you guys ever seen this before? If any of you have, I would love to see your comments in the bottom. But this is how I feel about canning. I follow all of the canning guidelines, so I don't know what happened here. This was probably an error on my part. Maybe not a clean enough lid, maybe not a clean enough jar. So thankfully, I was able to see that something was wrong here and dispose of all of those cans of navy beans, which I did not love. But my personal belief, and I'm sure it is yours too, whenever you're in doubt about a canned item, don't eat it, period. If it looks funny, if it smells funny, if you see something up there, and even though it smells nice, it is not worth it, okay? So, bon voyage, 3 jars, 3-quart jars of navy beans. So, as I don't have any other navy beans on my shelf prepped and ready to go, we are going to shift gears, and I'm going to make chili. And my chili is going to have kidney beans, my own canned hamburger, 2 cans of sauce, some chili seasoning, and some onions and some peppers. Now, I may or may not make that for you guys today. Like I said, I gotta see where the energy takes me. Let me take care of this kale and this basil, and then I will be back to you. Okay, I have washed the kale, and we're going to go ahead and dehydrate that, but we're not going to count it as project number 2 because really it's within a 48 hour of me picking all my kale that's ready to go and dehydrating it. There's my basil though. We are going to count that. And then I might try to dehydrate this jalapeno, and I might have a few more in the refrigerator, and if so, I believe I will do that too. All right, we have 2 trays of kale. There's one, and there's one more over here. And then I have a tray of basil. And then I have a miscellaneous tray. Zucchini rounds, which I have not dehydrated before. Some jalapeno rounds right here, and some little tomatoes. I love to do my excess tomatoes before they go bad because I grind them up, make them in a powder. Down the line, I'll mix them with water, and I have instant tomato paste if I don't have any in the house, which I'm okay with. Now, I have started my chili, and it's got onions and some diced peppers. Now I'm going to add a can of rinsed kidney beans, 2 cans of tomato sauce, a jar of my home canned hamburger, and a couple packets of chili seasoning. So this is my kidney beans, and this is my home canned hamburger, which I canned this hamburger in February. I bought this hamburger myself. It was on sale on an incredible little meat sale that my homegrown town grocery store has from time to time. Can't remember. I want to say I made 18 quarts, and I'm still using it. I think I have 3 or 4 more left. So I'll have to watch for hamburger to go on sale again. Or if I get hamburger at the food bank, I can certainly can it as one of the preservation products. I do have, I think, 2 pounds of hamburger in the freezer, but I'm saving it to make meatballs. All right, let me get this going, and I will be back to you guys later. All right, this is the start of my chili. I have some butter in the bottom of that pan. Most of that liquid is a little bit of water because those are frozen onions and frozen peppers. Both of those are food bank items, like I said. And I'm just going to go ahead and start this chili and let it do a slow cook all day. Okay, so I am going to start another preservation product today because I have the energy. We're going to count this as project number 3. And I know that the Every Bit Counts challenge is do something little every day, but because I missed most of August and I'm having to make it up in September, I feel like I can change the rules to meet my needs, what I can do. And there are some days where I can do a couple projects and some days where I cannot do anything. So if this bothers you people, go ahead and exit, watch somebody else's Every Bit Counts challenge. But if you're an old girl like me and some days you have more energy than the other, then you go ahead and you stay here and watch how a little old lady, 61 years old, does her Every Bit Counts challenge. Now, I tried to make navy bean soup today, and 3 of my jar lids were awful when I opened them. And so I discarded those beans. They had a black residue on the inside of the lid, and I don't care. There is nothing that says to me, Deanna, this is good to eat. I love my husband. I love my grandmother. I even like myself. I am not going to poison us over a can of navy beans. However, those were navy beans that I canned back in January of 2024, and those are the last ones on my pantry shelf. Now, we've been eating navy beans. I've canned them multiple times over the year. Never had a problem, never had a lid that had some black gunky on the inside, but we did today. So we switched gears. I have a beautiful chili on the stove over there. I've got my dehydrator going. I've got some other little projects sitting around the house. So I'm going to go ahead and sit down and rest and sort my navy beans. You can see that I have a big glass bowl. There's a little more than 4 cups in there. I'm going to try to make 4 quarts using 1 cup of dry beans per jar. And these look really good. I'm not seeing a lot of bad beans. These are actually a bag of beans that I got at the food bank, and that happens a lot. I end up with a lot of dry beans. When I have a choice, a lot of times I will pass them by because I have some that they've already given me that I'm working my way through. Or sometimes when I get a pre-made box, like will be tomorrow, sometimes they're thrown in there. I don't have a choice about what I get, and then I just bring them home and can them up and use them for a rainy day. Okay, let me sit down and take care of this. Okay, I have sorted 4 cups of pinto beans, and these beans were really, really clean. Let me show you what I pulled out. Out of 4 cups of beans, that is all, whoopsie, that is all I pulled out. So very, very clean. So that is done. Over here, you can see my pressure canner. I just hand washed in hot soapy water 4 quart jars. What I like to do then is stick the jars full of water with water in the bottom of my pressure cooker. And actually it's my electric canner, and process them for 10 minutes, just like I was canning something. And then I consider those jars sterilized, and that's what works for me, so that's what I do. In the meantime, I am going to unload my dishwasher and load it up again. And I think I made enough chili that I have enough for tonight, and I think that I can freeze a container of it and count that for a preservation product. So let me see if I can get that done. Okay, got a lot going on this morning or this afternoon. Right here you can hear my pressure canning. I am sterilizing some jars for my navy beans. Now, that chili that I made this morning allowed me to fill up a container this size and put it in the freezer and still have enough chili for dinner tonight. So this counts. This is a preservation product. I'm going to let this cool a little bit more, and then I'm going to saran wrap the top, and then I'm going to put the lid on and throw it in my freezer. Woohoo, people! She's doing it! Okay, I'm not sure what we're going to count this as, but it is going to be a preservation project. This is one that I did without you guys. This is pineapple zucchini bread. And I made 4 loaves, and I froze 3 of them. So we've eaten 1, and this one I'm going to pull out because Grandma and Addie really like this in the morning. Addie likes to toast his, and Grandma likes hers warmed up with butter. So I'm going to leave this one out, but these 2 I'm going to go ahead and pop back into the freezer. Now, you lucky dogs, because I made this without you, I am going to include my recipe, which I am not known for sharing my family recipes very easily, but I am going to do it for you guys. So we're going to count this as well. We're moving right along, people. Yes, we are. I'm proud of us. All right, if any of you guys have done the Every Bit Counts challenge, please leave me a little note in the comments and let me know how you did, whether you got it all done at the end of August. If you're someone who has to do it a little bit later because of whatever reasons, you let me know that too. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, you will still hear some residual noise. I have my canner going right there. It's got about another minute or 2, and then my jars should be nice and sterilized. I'll just have to wait for the pressure to come down. and I can get my navy beans in the canner. Now, I'm gonna go ahead. I have a list here on this page right here of things that I know I'm gonna do for the Every Little Bit Counts challenge, and because I'm way behind, I don't mind doing a couple things, you know, during the day. So, on my list, I have make my own vanilla. Now, this is my vanilla that I made about 6 or 7 months ago, and it is absolutely perfect. But vanilla takes, oh my God, it smells so good. Vanilla takes a good 6 months to get to the strength that I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and start my second batch because I go through a lot of vanilla, and I don't like to buy vanilla. I like to make my own. Now, you guys can Google this probably anywhere and come up with hundreds and hundreds of places to see how to make your own vanilla. But this is what I do. I start with a clean, sterile mason jar. This one looks pretty good. And I add I like to use spiced rum. So I add a full container of spiced rum. Let's go ahead and look down. Actually, I can't remember if this will take a whole container or not. I guess if it doesn't, we'll be making cocktails tonight. Oh, it does take the whole jar. Okay, good enough. Smells delicious though. Now, I also have what did I do with it? Right here? Yeah, right here. I have a thing of vanilla beans that I've had for, I don't know, maybe a year or two, and they're perfectly fine. I'm going to pull these out, and you guys can, you know, look at other people, see what they do, and then decide what works best for you. But I think I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And what I like to do is I just take my vanilla beans, let's look down here, hold them over the jar, and cut them into pieces right into the jar. And I like that better because I think it does a nice infusion of vanilla into the alcohol. So that's all I do. Then I put on a clean lid. Not that one. All right, this one's clean. Put on a clean lid. Screw it nice and tight, and then I give it a nice little shake. And I stick it in the darkest corner of my cabinet over there, doors shut on it, and it sits for 6 months. On the top, I will write today's date, and so I know that in 6 months this will be pretty good. So we also today made a quart of homemade vanilla. Smells delicious. Let's see. Yeah. It's going to be gorgeous. It already smells vanilla. Okay, let me get this labeled and into the dark part of my corner canning cupboard, and we're done with that. Okay, let's get these navy beans canned. My jars are out. My rims have been in boiling water. They are sitting over here on a clean towel. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1 teaspoon of canning salt to each jar. Easy enough, right? You guys want to see down here? All right. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I've made beans for you guys lots of times. But there's a teaspoon of canning salt now in each jar. To each jar, I'm going to add 1 cup of dry beans. Let me go get my funnel. I found it in the dishwasher. Okay, so this is a 1/2 cup measuring. So 1, 2, 1, 2. And 2, and looks like I have about a half cup extra, and I'm just going to go ahead and divide that between the 4 jars. I don't think it'll make any difference at all. Just like an extra tablespoon of beans, if even. There we go. Okay, now these jars, they're still pretty warm. So I am going to add hot water to each of these jars, and then I'm going to debubble. Okay, I added my hot water to the jars, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this little handy dandy tool and I'm going to run it through the beans and get any air pockets out of those beans. And what you saw in that jar, if you saw it, was a little tiny piece of kale. When I laid this on the counter, it picked it up, but I got it out of there. So we're good. And there we go, just like that. Now I'm going to check for head space. I want 1 inch of head space, and that is right there. Okay, that's 1 inch. That's 1 inch. That is a little bit too much. Let's take a tablespoon out. That's 1 inch, and that's 1 inch. So we did very well there. Now I'm going to take some apple cider vinegar, which I keep in a little container right here, and I'm going to wipe the rims of my jars. I do this no matter what I can. It's especially helpful when you're canning something sticky. Now this is not sticky, but we're still going to do it anyway. And I like to use a fresh piece with each jar. Oh, let's look down here. Okay. That one wasn't fresh. Here's a fresh one. And then I just like to take my finger and go around the edge, make sure nothing's cracked. Everything feels really good. We're good there. And then we're just going to put our lids and rims on. Now I washed these and I boiled them in some water on top of the stove. So I'm feeling pretty good about them. Just fingertip tight, you guys, nothing more than that. And into the canner it will go. Let's do that for all of them. Here's the second one. There's the third one. And here's the last one. And people, that's as easy as it is. Canning your own beans is so easy. It's cheap. I don't think I like this lid, this rim. Throw that one away. Okay, this rim is better. Okay. And there we have it. 4 jars of pinto beans. Let's take a look. Looks just like that. Now, you're going to want to follow the directions of your own pressure canner. For my elevation, I know that my pressure canner is already set to that. So I just take the lid and I move from open to close. I put my vent on exhaust. And then I do pressure cook high 90 minutes. That's what you need for a quart. And then I hit start. Now that will beep and notify me when I need to change my lid from exhaust to airtight. This will take probably 3 hours before I can pull them out of the canner. Takes a while to come up to temperature. Then it's got to process for 90 minutes. Then it's got to cool down for at least an hour before I try to open up that lid. Safety is everything. Don't open your lids ahead of time. Always open your lids away from your face so you do not get a steam burn. Okay, we got so much done today. I'm so proud of us, you guys. I'm feeling pretty good, actually better than I felt for a long time. So I'm going to kind of straighten up my mess. It's mostly done because I have unloaded and loaded the dishwasher again over there. And then I'm going to maybe just sit down and rest for a while. And I think that's all I'll be doing today for preservation. Tomorrow I am planning to go to the food bank. So I need to see what's in my cupboards, what's not in my cupboards, and go from there. All right, that's it for now. Ta-ta.